Thanks everyone for coming. Sucks because I had a nice song here to play, but I guess we're not gonna get that. I'm Jack. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the AlmaLinux community manager. Previously, I was a longtime Fedora community member, founder of the Ambassadors, founder of the Bug Zappers QA team, and that's my contact info in case anyone wants to get at me. It's probably better if you try to email me and not Twitter because I'm not really on Twitter all that much, but if you message me, I guess I'll respond to you. So I was gonna make a COVID joke, but I was afraid you guys might get it. It doesn't matter because in lockdown you only make inside jokes anyway. So how many here, I'm assuming probably most of you, but how many are familiar with CentOS? Okay, good. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Rich. So in the beginning, there was CentOS. And CentOS was it was popular, but it was also fundamentally broken. So this is a graph that shows CentOS overtaking Debian for most popular web server. I guess this was in July of 2010. But the problem with CentOS was this. So it's been bought and sold, bartered, traded, conglomerated, whatever you want to call it, several times. And this is actually the open letter that I think the whole board at the time wrote to Lance Davis, who founded CentOS, despite what you may have read somewhere else. But at some point, he disappeared. And in 2009, the board basically said, dude, you like walked away and we have no idea what's going on with anything. And you still own the trademarks, the financial accounts, whatever it was. So this was obviously a very big problem. And at the time, this was sort of resolved. But I think, if anyone kind of remembers back then, or probably most people don't, because I don't think people really followed it that much. But people were complaining that, no one knew like what was going on in the internal workings of the group. I don't want to call it, I don't know, whatever. It was a group. It wasn't a foundation. It wasn't anything. And Dag Weers, who was a very prominent member of the community at the time, basically, wrote that all of these issues could have probably been solved if there was a proper foundation behind the operating system. And this is a quote straight from his email when he effectively resigned from participation in CentOS, because he said, I'm glad this is being taken care of, but long term, this doesn't really seem sustainable. And so that was really a big problem. And then fortunately, this happened. Yes, people can't hear the sound effects. So in 2014, Red Hat acquired CentOS, which was a great thing because a lot of people were working very hard on it and were not getting paid. And, some of them were in, I would say, dire financial straits because of all the time they were contributing to the community, but they were not really getting anything in return. And so Red Hat, as they usually do, came in and kind of, picked up the ball and said, we appreciate what the community's been doing and we're going to devote some resources to it. So that was good. And then this happened. Hi, Rich. So as everyone probably knows by now, is there anyone that did not hear about the CentOS stream announcement in here? Okay, good. Everyone did. So yeah, Red Hat decided to shift direction and create CentOS Stream. Now, it was very misunderstood at the time, and it could probably have been done with a lot more nuance, let's say, to make people, not as up in arms as they were. But the bottom line is that, again, CentOS was moving in a different direction because there was no real community governance here. It was all, moved from one hand to the next until it landed at Red Hat. And then now Red Hat, of course, gets to decide what they want to do with it. So basically, CentOS is dead. And I want to say, long live the community enterprise operating system. And CentOS is actually not dead at all, and it's better than ever for those of us who have been paying attention and have been following along. I think Stream is a very positive thing. I think that other people in the community and organizations have come to realize this, and they've come to realize what the purpose of Stream is. So if anyone wants to tell you CentOS is dead, you should have them come talk to me. But there is a gap that exists now. And that gap is that where previously there was that kind of 10-year life cycle for the release, Stream's life cycle is a lot shorter. So what happened was we created AlmaLinux. Now, where does AlmaLinux sit in this whole picture of things? It's kind of this is kind of reversed because we're like the super downstream and we're at the top here. But this is an image that Carl George put together. So basically, Fedora is obviously the super upstream, and then there's CentOS Stream, which is going to sit between Fedora and RHEL now, and then we're kind of all the way downstream from that. So when we find issues, we actually participate in CentOS Stream because that is the way we can get things fixed for future versions of RHEL and thereby future versions of our own. So what exactly is AlmaLinux and why did we need to do this? So number one, we're an open source and forever free enterprise grade Linux distribution. Basically the same as CentOS always was. We're one-to-one with RHEL. We also have a 10-year base lifetime support. And I think the single most important thing is that we actually went through the incredibly painful process of putting together an independent 501c6 nonprofit so that all the IP is communally owned. We have a membership that's free and open to anyone in the community, any contributor, any community member. You just come in and sign up, and that'll allow you to actually vote in things like elections, which we plan on having. And it's governed by a board picked by the community. So right now we have a provisional board in place, and the members of the board are people like Simon Phipps, who's the former president of the Open Source Initiative, and he's actually the standards chair there now. We actually appointed a new chair, which is Benny Vasquez. She works at Progress on Chef, and so she's been doing a tremendous amount behind the scenes, enabling things like passing the bylaws and getting them filed legally and stuff like that. So we decided that, she was worthy of being the chair. And we've also been endorsed by Johnny. So Johnny Hughes, who's one of the really early CentOS team members, endorsed us on Reddit on the day of our release. And that's really awesome because I think that just gives. Oh, thank you. Yep, thanks. Johnny's familiar with many of the people that are working on this, and so we were glad to get his endorsement. About governance, like I said, the membership is currently free and open to everyone in the community. Mirror operators as well. So obviously the distribution of the software is a major part, and we want them to have a say as well. Corporate sponsors can contribute to the project's success, and we're in the process right now of signing up for something like Open Collective, where all the financials will be transparent so that everyone can see where every dollar comes in from and where every dollar goes to. We're hoping to hold elections for board members in the next 2 to 3 months. We just are waiting to till we build up a significant amount of members. I think we announced 2 weeks ago, and we already have something close to 150 members. That's between corporate sponsors and like private community contributors. So that's really great. And then we just want to get like a critical mass so that we have a meaningful election. And also open board meetings, which I want to just give a shout out to Rich also, because CentOS has started doing that as well. And we really appreciate the transparency. And I think that's something that's been awesome for the community to be able to participate in that process. And really just, most of the times the guests that are at the board, CentOS board meetings, are just there to listen and pay attention. But, we can finally pipe in and make any comments that we need to. And we're, of course, doing the same thing. So it's actually funny because I'd like to think that we've been setting a few trends. So last week, Igor, who is the CEO of AlmaLinux, who actually has an awesome booth right outside here, this was his brainchild. AlmaLinux was previously building a RHEL clone for many years. And he saw what was happening with the community and said, hey, like, we're already doing this. There's no reason not to open this up. And so it was really his idea to open everything up. And then myself and Simon and everyone on the board worked on putting together the nonprofit to really make sure that, there wasn't one entity that had control. So he was the original chair of the board, but he stepped down. And then yesterday, Karen Beer steps down from the CentOS board. So that open board meetings, a bunch of other stuff. I think we're doing pretty well. And I put this up here because Karen Beer has been devoted to the community for like over 20 years, I think. And I just wanted to give him a big shout out because I think a large part of the technology industry would not be where it is today if it were not for him. And I just wanted to make sure that we all kind of acknowledge that. So thank you very much for everything you've done, and whatever he's on to next, I'm sure it'll be great. But anyway, getting back to us. So we have lots of cool sponsors so far. AlmaLinux has promised $1 million a year towards the effort, which is great. AWS as well. We have a significant amount of infrastructure there. I did not put Microsoft Azure is part of it as well. ARM, we actually worked on our ARM release with ARM really closely, and that was awesome. The Oregon State Open Source Lab, Equinix, cPanel, Plesk, High Velocity, Known Host. I guess their white on white doesn't really work so well, so you can't see the logo there. But there are a lot of people that are behind the effort, and certainly a lot of individual contributors from within the community that have come forward. We've done things like our Raspberry Pi release with the help of Pablo Greco, who's a tremendous contributor in CentOS, and really everything ARM all around. It's just too many to name at this point. But so we launched on March 30th, and we've been pretty busy. So we released 8.3, which was what was out at the time. We released an 8.4 beta, then we released 8.4 stable, which is our current release right now. And we actually put out 8.5 beta based on RHEL 8.5. Both of those were 6 days after RHEL's release. So if anyone is familiar with the CentOS release cycle, there were never any guarantees there. I'd like to say that we're trying to pull for this and certainly make it even quicker in the future. And we're working on lots of automation to make sure that happens. We have migration scripts for Enterprise Linux 8 distributions. So if you're coming from a CentOS 8, if you're coming from an Oracle 8, from whatever it is, and you want to move over to us, so we enable that very easily. Raspberry Pi, which has been awesome. I think there's been a lot of uptake who doesn't love Raspberry Pi, right? So I have it at home running AlmaLinux, and I'm running Home Assistant on top of it as well, and that's been pretty cool. And there have been lots of things popping up all over the place with people using us on Raspberry Pi. We have cloud images for every major cloud platform: AWS, Azure, Google, OpenStack, Linode. We put together a UBI equivalent container set. So basically, the same container set that Red Hat has, So that's, you're talking about your minimal, your micro, your init, and of course our regular image. Our main AlmaLinux Docker image is part of the Docker official library, and we have over 200K pulls so far, which is phenomenal. I mean, like, we're so humbled. We never even imagined that it would get to that, let alone as quickly as it did. VMware images, Vagrant images, LXC, LXD, Proxmox. We also offer errata, which CentOS does not. So that's a big plus. And in general, we're very security focused around the distribution. So we have Secure Boot, was working on day one. We have a sys benchmark for hardening the system. So you can apply the sys benchmark like profile right from the installer and have the system hardened. And we're working on more stuff in that domain in terms of OpenSCAP and Oval, which are also security. So Oval is basically like a format for describing security vulnerabilities in a way that you don't need like the actual to run like the vulnerability against the system to see if it's compromised. So that's something that's really cool. And we're working on stuff like FIPS and other certifications. We've actually been getting lots of requests from different like government entities that want those things. So I don't know if anyone here is in government, but we're working on those things. And more importantly, what we've been doing for the community. So from day one, I think I said, and especially in my role, I want to make sure that we build bridges across the community. I want to increase what we do for the community. It's not just about the software, even though a lot of people only care about the software, but I think there's a lot more to be done there. We want to continue to work with Red Hat. Some people seem to think Red Hat is the enemy. Red Hat is not the enemy. I think that's very important. Red Hat still provides a lot to the community, and they are our super upstream. So I think that having a good relationship with them is really fundamental to making this all work. We've already contributed to CentOS stream. So we found bugs that needed to be fixed and we sent them back upstream because that benefits everyone, not just us. I think one of the most important things we did, which has kind of been overlooked, is we actually enabled support for the CentOS SIGs. So if anyone doesn't know what CentOS SIGs are, CentOS SIGs are special interest groups. And it's basically like subdivisions of the community that want to work on a specific, like specifically focused task. So there's like a storage SIG, there's a hyperscale SIG that's working on like putting together images for hyperscale deployments. There's a virtualization SIG, there's an automotive / IoT SIG. They call it the automotive SIG, but I know that it's really an IoT SIG in disguise. So all those, we want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts in the community and that we're not fracturing the community. Like some people want to create their own SIGs outside of the CentOS project. We think that it's better to work within the current framework just because everyone's already there. There are a lot of good people in the community. I don't think it does anyone any good to go outside of that and like create like another entity to do all this stuff. Let's leave everything where it is. All that stuff is available for consumption, like straight from within our distribution. I was glad to see that other distributions followed our lead on this as well, because I think this was something that was very, very important in terms of cohesion of the community and making sure that everyone is like targeting their work in the same place and under, the same kind of framework. We're advocating for rel build routes. And what that means is basically, so right now, when CentOS 8 goes end of life, all the SIGs will not be able to build packages continuing on for any of the derivatives because that's no longer available in the build system. So what we proposed was that rel be placed and available as build routes in the system so that all the SIGs can continue on this path and can continue building for all the rebuilds. Of course, Apple contributions and fixes. I think that's really very, very important. Apple is like a fundamental part of the ecosystem. And I think, a lot of people would not be using us if not for Apple. So we've also contributed fixes there. And things that we're working on for the future are application and language specific containers and images. So like a Python container with certain libraries, with certain frameworks that can be used for deployment of Python applications, a Java container set. All that stuff is being worked on. And certainly if anyone, wants to contribute, we'd gladly love your contributions. Uh, all of our container stuff is totally done by community people. It's not like anyone employed by any of the sponsors or anything like that. It's totally people that came from outside the project, showed up one day and were like, this is what we're doing. And they did it. And I can't even, I want to give a shout out Bala, who's our like the main person running that team. He's amazing. He's just like a machine. And I just want to give him a big shout out because he's really enabled a lot. We're also working on something where people will be able to build custom images. So I think this is really useful for scenarios where like you're an ISV or an application vendor and you want to have your application be on top of on top of AlmaLinux, and you want an easy way to deploy this. So basically, if you're familiar with the concept of like respins and Fedora, to be able to make your own custom respin, and also purpose specific images. So like HPC, bioinformatics, security, all those as well. We want to be able to put together custom images so that they're applicable to those domains and that they have something that they can work with right out of the box. And again, this is all layered on top of the base. So there's no like deviation where we're, kind of like providing something that isn't necessarily provided or something like that. It's all just layering things properly. And also another cool thing that we're working on, which was actually discussed a lot last night at dinner, we're working on an open build system with verifiable, and reproducible builds. And now with we're looking into doing something like Code Notary, which if you don't know what Code Notary is, you should look it up. It's really cool actually. It uses like an immutable database in the backend to verify that like the binary that you have was actually built from the sources that you put into the build system. And one other thing that we were talking about last night was doing this in a distributed fashion. So the build system essentially won't live in one place, but there will be nodes potentially all over the world. And then you can like verify the hashes between different nodes in the build system against different places. So if I built the package in location A, the same thing will get same job or same build will run in location B. And then we can verify that the hashes match. And I think this is really important for supply chain security because you never know if someone like slipped something in. You don't know if someone, let's say someone hacked like one node of the build system and managed to do something. Ideally, this will enable us to like flag that like immediately as soon as a build happens and there's like some deviation. And I think that's just really, supply chain security is rapidly becoming like one of the biggest concerns of just developers and like application vendors and stuff. And it's a problem that us collectively will need to solve like in the next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So we're definitely committed to contributing there. And then one thing that I would like to talk to you about is one other project that we've been working on that I'm about to launch right now. So this project is sort of the Holy Grail. So if anyone runs like RHEL 7, CentOS 7, what if it was possible to actually upgrade from one major version release to the next? As of 10 seconds ago, that wasn't possible because Red Hat has a tool to do it, but the problem is it requires a data set, and that data set is under a non-free license and requires a subscription. And also Red Hat's tools do not support any other distribution aside from RHEL. So announcing Project Elevate. So this is the site for the project. We are putting together this effort to enable major version migrations between any downstream RHEL distribution. So that's CentOS, that's Alma, that's Oracle, that's Rocky. We've opened this up to everyone in the community, and we want it to be distribution agnostic. We're working upstream with Red Hat's Leap team. That's something very important to us that you'll always see me stress is working upstream. We want to make sure that this benefits as many people as possible. Um, the data set for this. So we've actually put together something really cool, which is called the package evolution service. And so basically packages evolve between release to release, right? And what this package evolution service does is number one, it serves as a data library for all the possible metadata about how a package changes between release to release. And the way that the tool works is that you basically download the metadata, and the metadata tells the Leap tool of, hey, this is package X, and these are the changes that need to take place to move it up to the next version. So I want to give a shout out to the Oracle team, because I know everyone likes to laugh when we say the word Oracle, but they were actually really, really cool and helpful here, because they contributed a large part of that metadata under an Apache license, which is free and open to everyone. And them combined with what we had really made this all possible. So I want to give everyone a quick demo. We put together like a little video of us upgrading a CentOS 7 box to AlmaLinux 8. And I think everyone will get a good feel for what the project makes capable. And so let's see if the audio will work.
Hello everyone, my name is Sophia. In this video, I'm going to show you how to migrate from CentOS 7 to AlmaLinux 8 using the Leap tool and data from the Elevate project. First of all, let's install Leap Upgrade and Leap Data in Linux packages. Leap Data packages define what system the migration is to. Besides AlmaLinux,
we get
you
that
can
higher?
migrate to
Yeah.
CentOS Team 8, Oracle Linux, and Rocky Linux. The next step is to check if the current system is prepared for migration. You need to launch Leap Upgrade for this. It will check that you have the latest CentOS version, there is no unsupported hardware or software, and system settings are compatible with the next major operation system release. As CentOS doesn't match some requirements by default, you can use the migration guide that contains the most popular issues you may have during this step.
So this is sped up, by the way, just so you know. It's not this fast in real
When
life.
Leap Upgrade shows that the system is ready to proceed with migration, you can use the next step, which is Leap Upgrade. All the packages needed for migration are downloaded during this step. You can see that a special operation system image is created. It will be used for migration. Now it is all set to reboot and do the upgrade. There will be a new option in the bootloader after reboot, Elevate Upgrade in HYMFS. It will be automatically booted.
So you saw all those boot entries said CentOS, and then we had our init ramfs. And when you launch the init ramfs, it's going to complete the update, and then you'll see the
You can see
bootloader
packages
entries
and
change.
configuration updates running.
this is a minimal install. There's just like so many packages. So there are lots of primitives for like the different changes to the packages. So now you see the bootloader entries have been updated.
Now the system automatically restarts to perform the Linux relabeling. After this process is completed, the system will restart one more time. So the new system just booted. Let's make sure that it is AlmaLinux 8. That's all for now. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sonia. So that was the upgrade. The package evolution service is really cool. There are a lot of primitives that you can do to a package. So they're like packages between releases can be added, can be removed, they can be split. That's all based on, like what happened to them in between releases. So, and we support all of that. And the cool thing is that if you're a maintainer or if you're like an application, provider, you can go in and basically define like your own data set for the packages of your product or of your package or of your, whatever your software, and then make them part of that library. So then now those are available to anyone, anywhere in the world that's trying to do a migration as well. So that's really like one of the coolest parts of this is that it's truly collaborative. And we hope that there's going to be a lot of activity around that because certainly this is something that, the community has been lacking for a long time. And we hope that, over time, this will develop into a full-fledged tool that supports every package under the sun. We'll get there. Rel 9 is coming and presumably Stream 9 is certainly out already, and definitely AlmaLinux 9 will be out. So it'll be great to have something that'll let anyone move from one distribution to the next. And the EL, I don't know if anyone got that, but the EL, they're both capital for Enterprise Linux. Yes, no, I guess. So that's really cool. And I urge you to join us. No matter what you do, we can definitely use your help. We need DevOps, we need cloud gurus, we need HPC people, we need security people, we need docs. Please, we need docs people. Please, docs. Those are our websites, and that's our wiki. We also have a Mattermost chat that you can join, and also AlmaLinux on Libera. All of our sources, everything. So our main sources are on git.almalinux.org. Those are the sources for the distribution. Anything outside of that is all on GitHub, all publicly available. Kickstarts, all the stuff, the scripts for building the cloud images, the containers. We make everything available. Elevate is at the link that I put up earlier. And also, I urge everyone, if you are interested, just come to the site, click on the top on the resources. You can sign up to be a member. It's totally free. And we're going to have elections soon. We do want it to be meaningful. We want full community representation. So, it's get out the vote. I got to just make that announcement because I think that's really one thing that sets us apart from everyone else. And thanks for coming. That's our Twitter handle. That's our just general like email Dropbox. If anyone wants to send something, that's my email. That's our website. We're on booths 5 and 6 on the other side of the hall. If anyone, we have a Raspberry Pi there and another like Dell, like small form factor desktop running there. So you can play around with the distribution if you want. And that's it. I really hope that everyone joins us. I hope that everyone understands, where the community is evolving, and certainly understands where our place in it is. And again, I think I want to reiterate, CentOS is not dead. CentOS is alive and better than ever. And I think we're truly on the way to putting together a real community enterprise operating system and putting the community back into that, which is something that was missing for a long time. So thank you, everyone.